Welcome back. This is Palindrome. I thought I would split up the videos by card section because first one's getting a little bit long. So now on to Shadow Allies. So first up is Flame Spitter. It is very similar to Syndroke Apprentice. Deals a fire damage when enters combat, so that's going to be before actual combat damage takes place. So effective stats of 3-4, very similar to Cinder. I think it's mostly just going to see play for decks that need another fire damage source. But other than that, it's okay, but not great. Next up is Sword Gobbler. I don't think this is very good. Turn 2, it's basically just going to be a 1-3, so it's not functional as a 2-drop itself. Late game, you really don't want to be seeing your 2-drops. Yeah, if you have a weapon in the graveyard and one equipped, it's a 3-5, and, that's legitimately good stats for 2. But there's a lot of conditions on there. I just personally don't really see it. Maybe it will come up. Logan's or the like still likes Jeweler's Dreams. Aims you just attack and it's effectively an extra 3-5. But I don't really see this. There's a lot of situations that just have to work out for this to be a valuable card. It's a bit too gimmicky for me. We'll see if my opinion changes once, I get more used to the set. Cage Savage. Again, this card really didn't impress me. It's interesting as a 1-drop. You're really going to have to find ways to damage it yourself. The thing that really comes to mind here is Krygon. I mean, it's an 06. They're gonna leave it on the board because as soon as they attack it, it will retaliate. But I don't see it being great. Again, I could be proved wrong. Oh yeah, no, it can't even retaliate. Yeah, it's gonna have to get pretty big. Krygon, 1 buff would bring it up to 2-5. You're gonna have to buff it again. I don't see this really doing much. It starts out as 06. You're pretty much going to have to buff it the turn it comes into play. Because it can't even defend, so they'll have no problems either ignoring it or killing it. Whatever they choose to do. But, it's a 1-drop. Maybe people will find something for it. Currently, there are no viable 1-drops really anyway, except Chris. In the very bizarre meta Fire Snake. But, yeah. Feasterling. This one I thought is actually very interesting. Going first, this contends to be the strongest 2-drop in the game right now, in my opinion. You just get so much board control from it. Even going second, if they don't play a 2-drop, that this plus DMT or that kills their 3-drop potentially. So there is a lot of control you got from this. It is going to be very strong. Next up, Towering Brute. Towering Brute, I think, is going to be interesting. I haven't figured out a use for it yet, but 1-7 is hard to remove stats, and again, you buff it with Krygon. It's a 4/6. That's really good. even as is, it can kill 3-drops pretty well. It's 3 attack already. So, a lot of potential on Towering Brute. Definitely, you play it, if they attack it with something that has 3 or less cost, it will kill in retaliation, because that's 5 damage. Wolven Procedure. It's another strong Ravager 3/6. If it stays in play for the turn, until next turn, it can really do harm. That's seems to be a common theme with Ravager. Brakong. So 4/7 is not bad stats, particularly if you have a way of really getting him into play for cheaper. I'm liking Ravager Warrior with this sort of thing. Hell, Vest could potentially play him like turn 3 even. You know, you use your ability, drop a bunch of things for real cheap, and then he costs a lot less. So yeah, your 3 Shadow Energy ability come out turn 4, turn 3. You potentially could play this guy, or in the very least, he's going to be much cheaper and can soon be played. As for his other ability, it's kind of cute. I don't really see it, but maybe it again lets you drop an ally and then gives you a lot of control, because that's 6 damage between his attack and that. We've got a 1/4 again. Meek, I don't think is going to be a big debuff. He's got a really interesting ability, probably one of the more interesting ones in the game right now. I don't 100% know how it will be used, but I'd be very surprised if Kirith Devotee does not see play. Forgotten Horror. For 6, I think it's a bit pricey for what it does, to be honest. It is a strong control against one of their allies, and presumably you're going to have all undead, so that's nice. But I don't know. It feels like the type of thing that would be too good for 5, but 6 seems like it might be a bit much. But maybe not. Definitely a lot of potential on this. Anything that has a big move upon coming into play, people will find uses for. This is competing with your Furion Terror on stats and what it does coming into play, but this, first of all, won't affect your other allies, because presumably you're going to have an undead deck. And secondly, it hits harder. So, yeah, I could see it, but it does feel like it might be a bit expensive. Wolven Traitor. I think the ability is interesting, particularly the fact that they added the idea of trying to get non-Wolven ally heroes to really take advantage of Wolven synergy. I don't think this card in particular is very good. Again, it's a 1/3, so it's not a valuable 2-drop. that means you're going to have to try to figure it out later. I guess turn 4, turn 5, you can start using it as a draw outlet, but I just don't see this doing much. Wild Fang, on the other hand, he is interesting. Again, same ability, same idea. You have not a Wolven hero. He gives you Wolven synergy. I can't think of offhand exactly which allies you're gonna really be putting in this deck, but he's got the stats for a 3-drop, and he definitely has interesting ability. I'd really like to try making a deck with him. I don't know how it will work out. Alright, that's going to be it for Shadow Allies. So, I'll cut this video now.